Welcome, everybody, to the Shoe Choir, what I affectionately call my listening room. Am I just a weirdo with a strange obsession for shoes? Stay tuned to find out. When I started down here, maybe 3 years ago or so, this room was basically just a raw basement. It was partially finished with a nasty drop ceiling. Some of the walls had paneling on them, some didn't. Um, and so I basically stripped it down to bare walls and started over. I say this is a dedicated listening room, but in fact, it has some auxiliary uses. Um, you know, Over on this side, for instance, is the garage. We have a tuck under garage, and then this is kind of the thoroughfare through to a door that's over here, and that goes up into the main part of the house. So essentially, where I'm standing is what would be a mudroom. So you come in, you take your coat off, you take your shoes off, hence the shoe rack, and then you go upstairs. Also behind the camera is laundry. So there's a set of double doors that used to be over here. I moved them over there, and behind that is now the laundry. So really, those are the two auxiliary uses of this space, other than my listening room. So I started with bare walls. So I had to redo a couple of the walls. But the basic dimensions of this are 11 foot 10 wide by 17.6 deep by 7.2 high. And that 7'2" is probably on the low side. You probably want something a little higher, but this is, it's what I have. And, going higher or lower is not really an option. So it's something I have to deal with. So I put some acoustic panels on the ceiling to help absorb what would be a pretty quick first reflection from the loudspeakers. So I constructed this room with 2 layers of 1/2-inch drywall with acoustic glue in between each layer. So basically, there's a 2x4 stud, acoustic glue, 1/2-inch drywall, more acoustic glue, 1/2-inch drywall. And on the ceiling, there's actually resilient channels, which are these little clips that get fastened to the joists, and then there's a metal channel that runs across, and those clips have rubber isolators in them that basically help it isolate it from the floor above. And so I get fairly decent isolation between here and upstairs. I do have the weakest point is this door. And what I did was I bought exterior doors. The reason being is exterior doors already have gaskets and seals to keep rain out. And so it's sort of like built-in isolation a little bit. It's it's built for rain, not for acoustics. So if there's a weak point, it's this door for now. An upgrade in the future might be to take that door and replace it with something that's more acoustic isolation. They tend to be really heavy and big, and I don't know if it'll work, but it's something I'm probably going to look into in the future. As far as acoustic treatments go, what we have is obviously the shoe rack is doing some diffusion, but there's also behind the shoe rack is some of these acoustic panels from GIK Acoustics, and those are just basically styrofoam panels that have been cut in a certain fashion for diffusion, and then I painted them wall color. The other acoustic treatments I have are some homemade absorption panels, which are basically 1x4 pine with some rock wool insulation inside, and then those are wrapped in 1/4-inch wool felt. So I got a recommendation from the guy who built my phonostage, Terrence at Paradox Pulse, who told me, make this stuff out of wool. Don't cover it in a poly anything. Basically, but things tend to sound like what they're made of. So when you use natural materials, it sounds more natural. And so I went with the wool felt. There's a wool rug down on the floor. There's 3 panels on the ceiling, 2 on the back wall, 2 on this side, which carry the first and second reflections. And then there's 1 horizontally on the equipment rack side, just because the same vertical orientation was going to be hard to do with all the cables and things that are in there. So those are basically the acoustic treatments. You can see that almost every single corner has something in it, so I can't really do bass traps in here. It just doesn't work. So every room has some compromises. That's one of them in this room, but I think overall it's pretty good. In the back corner is where I made a small bar with a beverage fridge, and then there is an enclosure built in there, and that's actually my boiler for the whole house, for the heat of the house. And that boiler sort of sits half in and half out of this wall. And rather than bring that wall in so that whole boiler was behind the wall, I kind of did it halfway in between to maximize how much width I can get out of this room. I think it would have been far too narrow if I would lose 3 feet out of that 11'10". So it's pretty good dimensions, I think, width and length proportion. A little low in the ceiling, perhaps, but I think it's a fairly good room overall.
Love is in the action, like a brace on a broken knee. Give me time and give me patience, that would be enough for me. Breaking through the clouds feels impossible now. Oh, breaking through the clouds feels impossible now. Oh, I think I lost myself. Yeah, I lost myself.
I wish I was truly free, like a bird at the mercy of a breeze. was trusting in the soul.